Tov. Today's daf is daf samach. We're almost halfway through the mesechet. Time flies. Daf samach in Yevmot as we look for a fourth shleima for Elazar ben Reuma and Yosef Ezriel ben Chaim Michal. So yesterday we got to the two dots, anus chaver and futus chaver lo yisa, about 7-8 lines down on the page. So we had a machlokas here. This was not in the Mishnah. Anus chaver and futus chavero. If, let's say, a Kohen Gadol marries a woman who's been raped or seduced, that means she's no longer a virgin. He's not allowed to marry her because he's only allowed to marry a psula. What happens if he does marry Rav Lezer ben Yaakov Omer Havlad Halal? The child's a halal. Now bear in mind that what's the isser when he marries somebody who's not a virgin? It's only an asay. Ki im besula me'amav hikachisha. Rav Lezer ben Yaakov still says if he marries her, we said if he marries his own victim that he had raped, so he said it's considered a marriage. Rafuna said he's got to divorce her, but we sort of slugged that up and says no, she's going to be a ba'ula tachtav anyway. She'll eventually be, and once she marries him, she's no longer going to be a virgin, so he can remain. But if it's nus chaver versus chaver, we have machlokas. What happens to the children? Let's make the vlad halal. Some say the vlad is kosher. Still, presumably everybody would agree that he's not supposed to stay married to her. But the Buzz says the child's a halal. What's going on over here? How could it be a halal? A halal, we understand if a Kohen marries a grusha, a grusha or a zona, somebody he's not supposed to marry, then the kid's a halal. But over here, he was over on an asay of besula miyamav. So Rafuna says, "I'm Rafuna Marav, Allah Rav Yaakov, Allah is like Rav Yaakov, the child's a halal." B'chein Rav Gidol Marav, Allah Rav Yaakov. He could have some say Rafuna Marav. What's the reasoning for Rav Yaakov? My time Rav Yaakov. So like Rav Lezer. He also like Rabbi Lezer. We mentioned his shita the other day. It's going to come up again in the next few days. Rabbi Lezer holds that Panei Pnuya Asazona, that if a man lives with a woman out of wedlock, even if they're not married at all, there's no they could get married, but they don't get married. The child that woman is now a zona. So Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov holds like Rabbi Lezer. He's not supposed to marry this woman. He's not supposed to marry. Why? Because the Kohen Gadol is only supposed to marry a psula, and she has already been raped, so she's not a psula anymore. And since he married somebody he's not, and since she was raped, she's a zona. Because plenty of all pnuya zona. Any woman who has any relationship out of wedlock is considered a zona. So very simply, if she's a zona, Pasuk says amana grusha of a zona, he's not supposed to marry, and the kid would be a halal. So that's Rav Lezer Yaakov's opinion. But the problem with that is we don't pass like Rav Lezer. When we saw like Rabbi does Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov really hold like Rabbi Lezer? We saw like Zavakamla Nishas Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Kavanaki. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov doesn't say very many halachas in Shas. We had 4 kav means it's like kav is a small amount, Benaki, but it's pure meaning halachas like him. Some say that kavi actually has 102 members, 102 different sayings throughout Shas. In any case, we pass like Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov v'ilu baha, and in terms of Rabbi Lezer's rule of Panei Pnuya, the two people who have bia out of a relationship, she's in zona. Amar Vamram says, and Enoch Rav Lezer, the halacha is not like Rav Lezer. So how can you say that the halacha is like Rav Lezer ben Yaakov? And over here, why does Rav Lezer ben Yaakov say that the child of a non-virgin with a Kohen Gadol is a halal, even if it's his own victim, it's his own person that he raped? He raped this girl, then he married her. So according to Rav Lezer ben Yaakov, why would the kid be a halal? Because he made her into a zona. Because at the time they were both unwed, and according to Rabbi Lezer, if you have a bia that's an unwed relationship, turns her into a zona. But that doesn't make sense because we don't paskin like Rabbi Lezer, and yet we do paskin like Rabbi Yaakov. The ilu b'ha amar of Amram takes out the amar of Enoch Rabbi Lezer. Kasha, it's taka kasha. How to resolve that explanation of this expression of Rav Huna, that the reason why Rav Lezer ben Yaakov says that the child is a halal is because he holds like Rav Lezer, because Rav Lezer ben Yaakov holds like Rav Lezer, that she's a zona when he had bia with her before they got married. It's hard to resolve that. Bashi Amar, very simple. The question is a halal only from an Isra Lav, like a Kohen marrying a grusha or a Kohen Gadol marrying an almana? Right, Kohen Gadol marrying an almana says almana lo sikach. There's a lav and there's also an asay to marry psula, but a halal maybe is only produced from a lav, like a zona or a grusha. So that's the question: can a halal be produced from an Isser Asay, where he married somebody? He didn't marry a Zona, he didn't marry a Grusha, he didn't marry Almana. He married somebody who was no longer Psula. He was over an Asay of Kim Psula Me'amav Yikachisha. You could even have a halal from Mechaveser. For Abon Savri, ain't halal Mechaveser. Halal is only from an Isser Lav. My time what's his reasoning? The pasuk is like this: Almana Grusha is this week's parsha. Almana Grusha v'chalal Zona es Eila lo yikach. Right, Michael? Almana Grusha v'chalal Zona es Eila lo yikach. Okay, so it says ki im b'sul mi'amav. Okay, it says lo yikach, right? And ki im b'sul mi'amav yikachisha. Iksiv, and the next pasuk says v'lo yichalel zaro, right? Be'amav, be'amav. That's the end of that's the before the sheni or before shlishi. It says iksiv lo yichalel zar be'amav. Presumably the halal is going on everything in that pasuk. Amana, grusha, halal, halala, zona, and the sula me'amav yikachisha. And if you violate any of those, kids are halal. Akulu. That's Rav Yaakov's opinion, according to Rav Ashi. Rabbanan, no. Eila hifsik. Listen, what is it supposed to say? Almana gushav chalazah es eila lo yikach es nachta ki im sulami amav yikachisha. Eila, the previous ones, almana gushav chalazona. Those are what lo yichal zar b'yamav. But ki im sulamav not. So Rabbanan say that Eila stops that. Rav Yaakov Amar Eila lemute nida. No. Eil's to exclude a nida. If Chas v'chila Cohen slept with his wife, and she's a nida, and the child came from there, that's not a halal. It's over in Nisr Kares, Chayav B'Shogeg, Carbon. If he knew what he was, if he found out that he slept with a nida, but kid's not a halal. So Eil's exclude a nida. Kamanos lahadatain. Who's the following brayso to go like Me'ela tas halal? You make a halal. These viatas halal mean nida. From these you make a halal, including what non-besula, but not for nida. If we're saying that the lo yichal b'zarav is going on everything, including almara, grusha, halal, zona, and a non-besula, so to say eila at the end, it says almara, grusha, halal, zona, and non-besula, a non-besula, a beula, let's say, as eila is going on all of them. Kasha takadet. According to Rav Yaakov, the eila should say afterwards. Why is the eila in the middle? The eila is after Amar Grusha v'Chalal Zona es eila, and then Besula Mi'amav. According to Rav Yaakov, the Lo Yichal B'Zarav is going on everything. Why does it have eila in the middle there? Why is the eila between Zona and Besula or not or Beula? It should say eila at the end to include everything. That's taka a little bit hard to understand. Who are for a regular Kohen? We've been discussing now a Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol can't marry on money. He has to marry only a Besula. And if he marries a Beula, a woman who is not a virgin, she's not an almana, she's not a grusha, not a zona, she's never been married before, but she's no longer a virgin. Why would that be? Well, according to Rabbi Lazar, it's hard to find except for a mukas eitz, a woman who lost her virginity due to an accident, not due to human bia, right? That would be according to Rabbi Lazar. According to others, very simple, he had bia with her before. A woman and a man had bia out of wedlock. She's no longer a virgin. She's not a almana. She's not a grusha. She's not a zona, but she's not a psula. Over on the essay. That's Kohen Gadol. A regular Kohen can marry an almana, right? But he can't marry a zona and he can't marry a grusha, right? Now, who is he metame to? Who is a Kohen? Who does a Kohen be tame to? That's also this week's parsha, right? Beginning of the parsha. Who does a tame? He's metame. Who does he go to a funeral of? His mother or father, his children, son or daughter. What else? His wife. His wife. What do you leave out?
His sister.
His sister. Right. Okay. So it says, right, mother or father, son or daughter, right? I'm leaving somebody out. Ishto. No, Meis Mitzvah is everybody, even a Kohen Gadol. Even a Kohen Gadol. What does Pasuk say? Right? Right? Pasuk says, right? His brother. We left out his brother, right? Huh? So he said Meis Mitzvah.
No, we also said brother.
Oh, it's right in here, brother. Sorry. Okay. So his brother, his parents, his children. That's 5. His wife is 6, and then says Ula Choso Habsula Asher Lo Haisa Leish Lo Mitama. Right, to his sister who's a virgin, who was never married. Chosa Psula. This is a very strange thing. Just say she was never married. got to be a psula also. What's going on over here? Tana Rabban. Achoso arusa. What happens if his sister was engaged? So that's Havaya. She was married to somebody, right? She had first stage of marriage. So what would you say there? Can he be matami to her or not? So we have machlokas. Achoso arusa. She's engaged. The pasuk says ula achoso habsula hakrova ilav asher lo haisa leish lo yitama. Right. So achoso arusa. Rav Meir Shapiro say matami like matami her. She's engaged. Why? She's still a psula. She's still a virgin, right? And she hasn't been married yet, but she's been engaged. So we'll see how he determines the pasuk. Matami, he could be. Yosef Shimon says no. Matami law. Doesn't make any difference if she's out. When she's married, then it's for sure that she's with the man. She's with the man, or that's considered that they're for sure she can't be matami to her. But if she's only a rusa, here we have machlokes. Meir Yehuda says she could be matami. Yosef Shimon says no. Matami law. Okay. What about anusa mafuta? What happens if his sister is no longer a virgin because she was raped or seduced? She can't be matami because she's not a psula. This is la choso psula asher lo isolish. What about umukas eitz? Right? What about umukas eitz? So we'll see. The Gemara doesn't say it clearly like at this point, but Rav Meir Shapiro said, yeah, umukas eitz she could. She could, because that doesn't preclude her from, even though she's not really a psula anymore. It means mukas eitz means she had an accident. She could, but a matami lo divrei Rav Shimon. So notice here, Rav Shimon says he can't be matami to her. So now, how many rabbis we have so far? We have Rav Meir Shapiro saying he could be matami to his sister who's an arusa. Obviously, she's also a psula. Rabbi Yosef and Shimon say not to his sister who's engaged because she's married to a guy. Anusa mafut, everybody says she cannot. Only Rav Shimon says she can't be married with mukas eitz. So not only does Rav Meir Shapiro say he could be matami to his sister who's never been with a man, but she's had an accident. But Rav Shimon has left his partner Rav Yosef. Rav Shimon said both that ain't matami to what to achoso arusa. Here, when it comes to mukas eitz, only Rav Shimon says she can't be matami to mukas eitz. Mashma Rav Yosef does. We'll talk about this. Rav Shimon Omer. Why do Rav Shimon say she can't be matami to mukas eitz? Amar ruuli kohen gadol matami lo. She ain't really kohen gadol matami lo. What do we have on yesterday's Mishnah? We have at the end of the Mishnah, Li says mukas eitz. And Rashi is mashma. Some portion say it's going on all the rabbis, but Rashi on yesterday's daf said Rabbi Lazar says that, and on today's daf he says Rav Shimon says that. Rav Shimon says Lo Yisus mukas eitz. Why? Why can't he marry? Why can't a kohen gadol marry a mukas eitz? Because she's not a virgin. So Rav Shimon says like Rav Shimon had a cloud. If she can marry a kohen gadol, then a regular kohen could be matami to her, can go to her funeral. She can't marry a kohen gadol like a mukas eitz, and matamala, a regular kohen cannot attend her funeral. So if his sister is a mukas eitz, he can't be matami. That's Rav Shimon's shita. The other three rabbis, Rav Yossi, Rav Meir Shapiro says a mukas eitz you could. What about a bogeres? What about if she's more than 12 and a half? She's not married. She's not married. It says achoso absula asher lo isolish. Is she a psula? Well, she's technically still a virgin. She might not have all her virginity, but she's still a virgin. She hasn't been with a man. Matamila divrei kol. Matamila divrei kol adam. Everybody says that. Strange lashon. Not divrei kol, says divrei kol adam. Everybody agrees that he can be tamagas. Now, what's the svara? What's this machlokas over here that we're dealing with different aspects? My time, Rav Meir Shapiro. What's Rav Meir Shapiro's reasoning? Their main cause is that achoso arusa. If his sister is engaged, she's still a basula, but she's engaged, and he could be matame. The darshach, this is how the darshan. Ula achoso absula, right? Prablanusa mafuta. Absula, virgin excludes if she's been raped and she's not absula. Maybe mukas eitz should also be excluded. She's not absula. Tamalomer ashaloy saleish. Only if she lost her. She's only. We're only dealing with a loss of virginity due to human intervention. Let's say shaloy saleish. Only she lost her virginity due to a bia with a person, as opposed to mukas eitz, which was an accident. She hasn't lost her virginity due to a man, due to having a bia with somebody. She lost it due to an accident. So therefore, he could be matami to his sister. It says achosa psula shalois. She's still considered, even though psula would exclude. She's not a psula, but a shalois ish. It's going to be. She hasn't lost her virginity due to a man, but rather due to an accident. So Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda say, fine, shalois lish. That means that a mukas eitz, a kohen would be matami to his sister who is mukas eitz. Hakrova, again, the pasuk say, b'lachasol psula, Hakrova love asher lo isal ish. What does krova say? Hakrova l'rabas arusa. Oh, very good. Because asher lo isal ish, she hasn't with a man, but if Havaya is usually being married, even arusa, like you said before, whatever she's married, fully married for sure. But it could even be asher lo isal ish. Here she was isal, she got engaged to the guy, so achosa arusa should not be. He should not be mitame to her. But the pasuk says hakrova. Right, extra krova tells me that even if a rosa, as long as she's not fully married, a krova includes that he could be matami to her. A love, the rabbis are bogeres. A krova, a love to include a bogeres. Says Mahalamika, what are the pasuk for to include bogeres? From Rav Meir. Rav Meir says psula filu mix psula. Remember yesterday we said that a Kohen Gadol, even if he cannot marry bogeres, why? Because she's missing some of her virginity. But the word why? Because it says besuleha. Right, and bivsula talks about shalokadarka, but if we just say psula, it means some of her virginity. Bivsula means she has to have all her virginity. Right, bivsula, she has to have all her virginity. She can't be a bogeres. But the word psula alone means even partial. So here also, what do I need a pas tell me that bogeres he would be matami for her? Right, just say because it says here it doesn't say bisuleha, it says habsula. Asher lo ish. Psula means even partial virginity. So bagera should be included anyway. Psula fila mixes psula mash, but that's what Meir said yesterday. It's I still need the drasha of hakrovo, of a love rather. A love teach me bagera. Why? Tzachim I might think nail psula mehasam. Learn up psula from where it says kimot say ish nara psula, right? Asher lo ish, and he rapes her. So they're talking about nara psula. I might think there has to be an hour up until the age of 12 and a half. Kamashma know that a bogeres also, even though psula taka does not mean, it doesn't mean all her virginity, it might mean partial, but I might think zeir shavet, it's got to be a nara. Kamashma, we don't say that. Mala nara, afkan nara, kamashma, we don't say that. So therefore, a Kohen Gadol, according to Meir, cannot marry a girl who's 12 and a half because she doesn't have all her psulim, right? Because it says bibsuleha. Psula alone means partial, but bibsuleha means all of it. However, a regular Kohen could be matami to his sister who's, let's say, 15 years old, even though she only has partial virginity. Why? Because it says a love. A love includes bogeres. Rab Yossi, Rab Shimon, what's the risk of Shimon? Now, how do they argue? Basic machlokas is achos arusa. If your sister is still, the Kohen sister still is a regular Kohen sister, sister is engaged, even though she's still a psula. Can she? Because is he mitami? Rabbi Yosef Shimon says no, they're not mitami. My tamayu dashi. That's how they dashi. Well, achosa psula pralanusa umufuta umukas eitz. Right. This is really only Rabbi Shimon saying that umukas eitz. Meaning, if she's an anusa, if she's raped, or mukas, if she's lost her virginity in any way, shape, or form due to human or non-human intervention, that's excluded. He's not mitami to her. Asher lo haisa pratlarusa. Oh, asher lo haisa liish. Here she was arusa. Arusa is haisalish. She's engaged to a man, so therefore he excludes arusa. Hakrova. What does hakrova come? The rabbis arusa shneskarsha. What happens if his sister was here? Rabbi Yosef Shimon saying that if your sister is a psula and she's engaged, can't be metamed her because she's engaged. She's haisalish. However, if she got divorced from there, if she got divorced from being engaged, she's still a psula, right? That's like krova includes that. If his sister is now divorced, he is metamed to her. A love, the rabbis says a bogeres, that's like Rav Meir said. Rav Meir and Rav Meir and Rabbi Yehuda said that a love includes the bogeres. He would be matami to bogeres. So now the Gemara Adash Sakrova, the rabbis said you say krova includes his divorce from being engaged sister, right? Rav Shimon This is Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon explained Rav Shimon and Rav Yossi, but Rav Shimon just said before that she can't marry he's not matame to a mukas eitz. If his sister is a mukas eitz, she didn't have to be with anybody in her life, but she's lost her virginity due to mukas eitz, due to an accident. He's not matame to her. Why? Because Rav Shimon said if she can marry Kohen Gadol, a regular Kohen can be matame to her. If you can't marry Kohen Gadol, then a regular Kohen cannot matame. So here, Kohen Gadol cannot marry her. So why would he say over here that this woman who is a grusha now, she can't marry Kohen Gadol, she can't even marry Kohen. She's a arusa shenas garsha so she can't marry a Kohen. So how could she? Why would it be Matam her? The answer is Shiny also Rachmana Krova. Here we got a special pasuk. Pasuk says Krova. Krova tells me that Rabba Sarusha Senas Garsha. That's what it's going to be. I got a special pasuk. You're right. Normally that's his cloud, but here I got a special pasuk telling me that you could marry. Okay. These are Ihachi Mukasates Nami. So if it's the case, also on say Mukasates, even though why did he say before that of Mukasates? Why did Rav Shimon say that a Mukasates he's not matami to his sister's Mukasates? Because a Kohen Gadol can't marry her. Yeah, but I got a pasuk over here, Krova. Right, Prova tells me that in the case of Skarsha, he could marry, he could be matami to her because I got a special pasuk. Even though Kohen Gadol couldn't marry such a woman, but this should be included because it's nami, and since Rabbi Krova, Rabbi Shalom included, it's Krova achas l'shtayim. He only includes one thing. In other words, a Kohen Gadol can't marry Mukasates, nor could he marry this guy's sister who's been divorced. But we say if the sister's been divorced, he could be matami to her, but he still can't be matami to Mukasates according to Shem. Marisa, why do you include the sister who's been divorced from being engaged versus Mukasates? Marisa, loss of Maisa. Because in the case of Mukasates, she's lost her virginity. Something's been done to her. She's no longer a virgin. In the case of Arusa, who's Niskashiv, his sister was engaged and then divorced. Nobody ever touched her. Nobody ever laid a hand on her. She's still a virgin. Therefore, he could be matami to her according to Rav Shimon. For Rav Yossi, now Rav Yossi, he agreed with Rav Shimon that achos arusa, you're not matami to her, right? Because asher lo isolation. Here it was isolation, so he's not matami to his sister. However, when it came to Mukasates, he left Rav Shimon. Rav Shimon says he's not matami to Mukasates, and Rav Yossi says he is matami to Mukasates, like he is matami to his sister's Mukasates, like Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda. So Rav Yossi since he left his partner Rav Shimon, he holds like Rav Meir's field. He holds like Rav Meir that a Kohen could be matami to his sister, even though she's technically not a virgin. She goes to the doctor, she's not a virgin, but it wasn't due to human intervention, it was due to an accident. What's the sparse feeling? How does he know? It says she wasn't by a man. She wasn't by a man, but she was by an accident. She lost her virginity. But you already used that. Shaloi Salish tells me what? That use that for Arusa. Right? It says, and here she was engaged. So she was engaged, she was with a man. So you use that pasuk already. Even Rabbi Yossi used that pasuk. He agreed with Rav Shimon when it comes to Arusa, that he's not matami to his sister who's on Arusa. So, and it was from Asher Lo Yisalish. I can use the same pasuk twice. Well, it says Melo Yisalish, Vafik. You already used that pasuk for Arusa. It says Chad Melo Haisa, V'Chad Melo Ish. The Haisa is the one to tell me that she's not, if she's been engaged, he's not matami to her anymore. The other one is to tell me the Ish, only if she's lost her virginity due to a man, then he can't be matami. If it was due to an accident, then he is matami her. Elov, the Rabbis of Bulgaris. Now, we say over here, Elov says that he is matami to his sister who's, let's say, 15 years old, who's lost partial virginity. Va'omer Rav Shimon, Basula Shlema. Rav Shimon already said yesterday, remember, Rav Meir said, Basula just means partial. Basula means everything. Rav Shimon says, no, Basula is Basula Shlema, Basula means partial. Va'omer Rav Shimon, Basula Shlema. What do I have to tell him? What do I need? How can you say Elov is the Rabbis of Bulgaris, includes Bulgaris? Rav Shimon holds Basula means she has to be a full virginity. And Bulgaris is not full virginity. The answer is, the reason he says over there Psula means full virginity is because of this pasuk. The Darshachi, Mida Elov, the Rabbis of Bulgaris, since the word Elov includes the Bulgaris, right? Mechlal the Psula Shleima Mashma. In other words, it says Lachosa Absula Asher Lo Isalish Lo Yikama, right? Absula the Lachosa Absula Asher Lo Hakrova Elav. Lachosa Absula Hakrova Elav Asher Lo Isalish. So since you need a love to be marva to include a Bulgaris, a smash with the word psul alone would mean everything. She has to be a full virgin. She has to be a full virgin, and she's not. So since I need a love to include, she's not a full virgin because she's now a Bulgaris, shows you that the word psul alone taka means full virginity. Since you need the word elov to include a Bulgaris, the psula means psula shleima mashma. Okay. New topic. Tanya Rav Shimon Yochayom. Shim's like this. A famous issue. We know a Kohen cannot marry a Gyoris. Why? Because she's considered a Zona. Why is she a Zona? Because she slept with a Goyim. What about a girl who was Megayah less than 3 years old? We've learned many times that less than 3 years old is not considered a Bia. It's not a Znus. Let's say a man committed adultery with a married girl who was 2 years old, it's not adultery because it's not considered a bia. So what about if she was Megayer when she was less than 3 years old? So Shimon Yochi says, Gioris, because Mashal Shanim, Yomechik Sheryl, she can marry a Cohen. Presumably she can even marry a Cohen Gadol. She can marry, why? Because she's not a Ba'ula. She lost her virginity less than 3 years old, it grows back. That's the assumption. So she's still a Psula. Having Bia with a girl who's less than 3 years old and less than 3 years old is not a Bia. She's not a Ba'ula. And therefore,
Or you still have Me'amav.
you still have Me'amav, right? What is that? Where? What do you mean there?
Me'amav.
Okay, now we're talking about after she became a Jewish.
Well, then we have the machlokas beforehand of whether it's the ger is considered
A new person. Is that what you mean?
no, whether ger is considered to be what's the word then?
A kahal game with kahal. Yeah. Okay. Right. So that's the issue. So the issue there is can anybody then kal ger mikakal in the issue is the issue of lo yavad mamzer v'kal Hashem, right? That a mamzer, so if a ger is not a kal ger is not a kahal, then he could marry a mamzer, right? Then he could marry a mamzer. And we had the issue of suadaka, lo yavad suadaka v'kal Hashem. So the question is there: could he marry a ger? Could a suadaka marry a gyoris? Okay, but there's no isser on a Yisrael marrying a ger, or right on a Yisrael marrying a ger, even though there's no isser on a regular Yisrael marrying a ger. So same thing, a Kohen would not have a problem over here of, even if Kal Ger is not a Kikal, a Kohen is not prohibited from marrying somebody who's not in the Kal. He's prohibited from marrying a Mamzer or to a doctor just like anybody else, right? A Kohen can marry anybody else. But a Kohen could marry. So Rav Shimon Yochai says, less than 3 years old, if she was Megayer less than 3 years old, even though she's a Gyoras, but she's not a Zona, because she didn't have Bia, any Bia that she had before doesn't count. And therefore, she's kosher to marry a Kohen. She's not a Zona, she's not a Chalala, she's not a Almana, she's not a Grusha, marry a Kohen. Shneimar, how do we know? Yeah?
She's 2 years old. She doesn't have das.
Oh no, parents are Megayer. Like any baby. Parents are Megayer. Parents are
the Rashi, she wouldn't have to do it again when she becomes
No. Yeah, that's the Gemara in Ksubas Daf Yomi. If a ger was Megayer as a child, can he walk away later on when he's bar mitzvah? That's another discussion. But the gerus is a good gerus. That's our Megayer children today. People adopt a goyish child, that baby, and they're Megayer. That's fine. Okay, but that's you need a bestin.
If it's not their natural child.
Yeah, that also when they're older. That's the Gemara in Ksubas. Do they have to accept the mitzvahs again, or is it automatic? That's a whole question, or could they walk away from it? But the basic idea is that it's a good gerus. It's a good gerus, whether they adopt a child, whatever the issue is. It's adopting it. If you're talking about anybody who's Megayer a child, a baby. It could be a baby under 3. It could be a child over 3. That the issue is, can they walk away? But it's a gerus. It is. If nothing else is done, if they choose not to, if they stay in the family, then they're full Jews. Okay. Shneimar says Chol Tap Nashim. Plus it says by the guy it says Chol Tap Nashim Mishal Yod Mishkav Zachar. All the children among the women, Chol Tap Nashim Mishal Yod, if they hadn't known a man among the guy, the other ones you have to kill in the fight in the war of Midian. So he says kill all the women who've been with a man. Pinchas was among them. Pinchas was a goy, a Kohen. So based on this pasuk, Shimon says even a Kohen can marry a child, because it says all the children among the women who have not known a man yet. Children meaning learns from under 3. And Pinchas was among them. He says you could have for yourself. So Pinchas, even a Kohen, Pinchas a Kohen can marry this child. Rabbanan who disagree. The Rabbanan disagree. They say no, you cannot marry a Kohen. Can never marry Gyoris, even if she was Megayer when she was a baby under 3. But Rabbanan mishpacha, meaning you can keep those children to use as slaves, but not to marry. So wait a minute. If he says that if they didn't know a man, you can keep them alive. So why? Because they didn't know a man. So they're not a zona, let's say. So why does Rav Shimon say even if she's 5 or 10 years old, if they haven't known a man, you can keep them too? Nami, because they didn't know a man, so they should be able. You could marry them too. They're not zonas. The answer is Rafuna, because Rafuna is a famous rush. Rafuna Rami has the following stira. Exhibit is called Isha Yodasish, and that parsha says any woman who knew a man, meaning who's been with a man, the Mishkav Zachar, however, you have to kill all those women, kill the men, and then kill the women who've been with the man. Ha'en Yodas, mashma, if she didn't know a man, if she was 20 years old but she never had deal with a man, you can keep them alive. Bechlal, mashma from there, the tough children, young children, because the women call Isha, a grown woman. If she's known a man, you have to kill her. If she doesn't know a man, you don't have to kill her. It's mashma children. It doesn't make any difference if they knew a man or not. You keep them alive. That's what it's mashma from the first pasuk. And the other pasuk says, then it says, children among the women, the young women, if they didn't know a man, then you shall live. If they did, harogu. So which one is it? One pasuk is mashma children you can keep alive no matter who. You can let them live no matter if they were with a man or not. The other pasuk is mashma that no, children also, if they knew a man, cannot. Havayoma, the only way to resolve this theory is to say, means this: if they are roy for bia, meaning they're 3 years old in a day, once they're 3 years old, say their third birthday, they're roy for a man, then you have to kill them. In other words, that's what we mean over here, that's why 3 years old, even if they're 3 years old, but they didn't know man, but they're roy for bia. Once they're 3 years old, they're roy for bia. We're talking about if they're fit, meaning they were 3 years old. Any woman 3 years old doesn't mean dafka bat mitzvah or older women. By going, there's no bat mitzvah. It's all by seichel. But anyway, any woman who's roy for bia 3 years old, that's what we mean over here. You have to kill her. The maybe means only if they actually had bia. There it separates. By children it says so what are you going to say there? The first pasuk is mashma again that all children you can keep. Then it says by children, it says no, only the women are shazachar. Therefore we see like this. We mean all women, whether they're women or children, right? Only which women must you kill? All that are ro'li for having bia. How did they know? How did they didn't have birth certificates. When they captured all these women, they didn't have tudat suits to show their birthday, to show if they're 3 years old. How did they know? They took these goyim, they brought them before the Kohen Gadol sits. Kolsha panamrikas, if they turn pale, like greenish or pale, she's right for bia, and here you have to kill. Kolsha panamrikos, if she didn't face didn't turn white or turn pale, that's how they knew. Okay, so that's how Rav Shimon learns. The Rabbanan say no, even a girl under 3 years old, she's Magari, Kohen can't marry her because that's considered zona. Amar Nachman, similarly Aveira, even though the Chum agreed that that's not considered bia, but still a Yoris is automatically considered a zona. Amar Nachman, similar Aveira Hadroken. If people have been conducted in sexual misconduct, the simon is that they turn pale. They found Yoshvei Gilad, the ones who didn't want to participate in the war against the Shev Binyamin. It says over there that they found among these Jews in Yoshvei Gilad, Yoshvei Yavish Gilad, Arba Meos, now they found 400 girls, Psula, Ish Lemishkav Zachar. They hadn't been with a man. 400 young girls. Now it's because everybody else was killed, right? They killed the other ones, so they said, and these they gave to the people of Binyamin for wives. But how did they know if they had mishkav zachar now? They put them. They had the girls sit, so to speak, without undergarments on top of a barrel of wine. If she was not a virgin, the smell of the wine, which is very, very strong, we're talking about undiluted wine, you could smell it through their mouths. Basula, if she was a psula, sitting on the barrel, her virginity would prevent the smell from coming through. But why did they use the barrel of wine? Why didn't they use the tzitz? Rav Kana, Rav Nas, like used by Medium. The pasuk says by the tzitz it should be for acceptance for you, meaning for good. The tzitz is only used for good, not for bad. When it comes to Jews, they were Jews. So why by Midian did they use the tzitz? For the Jews, below the parts. And when it comes to Jews, we don't use the tzitz that something can come out bad. So they use the wine test. By the goyim, you could even use the tzitz because the Ratzalaim is only refers to Jews, not for the Jews. It's only for us and not for parnius, not for punishment. So we had a machlokas here. Can a young shiksa under the age of 3, she's Megayer, can she marry a Kohen or not? Rav Shimon Yochai says yes. The Chacham said no. Now Rav Yaakov Baridi said, I heard from Shub and Levi that the halacha is like Shimon Yochai. Amar Le Rav Zeir. So Rav Zeir said, Rav Yaakov Baridi beferish milcha. Did Rav Shua ben Levi say beferish? Did you hear him explicitly say that the halacha is like Shimon Yochai? Or did you deduce it? It was implied from something else. Was it implied? My klala, what would be the deduction from what if you didn't hear it specifically that he said the halacha, you just deduced that. How did you my klala? Shimon Levi said like this. In other words, maybe Rav Yaakov didn't hear Shimon Levi said that the halacha of Shimon Chai, but he heard it from a story that Shimon Levi said. What happened? Shimon Levi had said there was a city in Eretz Yisrael, Shekolav Ir, that there was some objection to it, meaning that they thought that there was somebody in the city. Rashi says Mishpacha Sa'ir, so they wanted to invalidate, to disqualify a certain Kohen family because they said that the Kohen there married a Gyoris. So there was a rumor went out that in that city there's a Kohen who married a Gyoris. V'shagar Rebbe, that's Rav Romnus. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi sent Rabbi Romnus. He was an assistant to him, some rabbi there, to check out the situation. But he checked out a matzah bas Gyoris plus found over there what happened was that the Kohen had married a girl who became a Gyoris when she was under the age of 3. Under the age of 2, she was a Gyoris, so the Kohen married her. The Shiur Rebbe Lakuna, Rebbe said, she was under 3 years old, and she was Megayer, so it was okay for a Kohen. In other words, there was a rumor, a suspicion that a Kohen had married somebody he wasn't supposed to marry. Turned out that it was okay because she had been Megayer when she was less than 3 years old. So that was the story. So you're medayik from there that the halacha is like Shimon Yochai, that you can marry, that a Kohen can marry such a girl. Amalei, so Rabbi Yaakov answered the Ferishmli. No, I didn't hear it I didn't deduce it from that story. I heard that he said the Ferish halacha like Shimon Yochai. And if he deduced it from the story, what's the problem? The story is just as indicative that the halacha is that a Kohen could marry a girl less than 3 years old in a day as if he said it Ferish. What's the difference? Mine. So it's Domashan Yosem Holbein. So that's different because he was already married to her. If he's already married to her, we say it. Why? The Rabbi Yochanan Damitavayo Bogeris Mukaseit. So we said that a Kohen Gadol should not marry a Bogeris or Mukaseit. We learned that yesterday. But if he married her, he's married already, right? So same thing over here. Maybe it's different in that story in that town because he was married to her. He says, what do you mean? How can you compare that to Achi Ashta? In the case where a Kohen Gadol married a girl who was not a psula, okay, he was over on the essay. We had machlokas whether the kids are halal or not. But you can argue, okay, once he's married to her already because she was going to lose her virginity anyway. So he's married to her. But over here, what are you going to say? If a Kohen can't marry a Gyoris because she's a Zona, she's married to her already, then it's okay. She's still a Zona. If a Kohen marries a Grusha, we don't allow him to stay. I mean, it's a marriage. You got to give her a divorce, but every day that they live, they're living in sin. What are you going to say? She's going to be a Zona? It's different by a case where he married somebody who's not a virgin. Okay, was a bad thing. But once he marries her, he's married to her. She's going to lose her virginity anyway. But over here, where the Kohen married, if the Kohen married somebody he's not supposed to marry because she's a Zona, she wasn't destined to be a Zona anyway. How can you say you can stay with her? So therefore, the story is a good proof. Rav Safra Masla Machlala, Rav Taka learned the halachas of Shimon from this story. And he said, "Well, wait a minute. Maybe it's maybe." He said, maybe how can you learn from the story? Maybe it's different because he was married to her already. Maybe Kohen's not supposed to marry girls, but if he was married to her, we let it go. And that's how he answered. He answered, "What do you mean? What if he was married to her already? That's not an excuse. It's an excuse if he's not supposed to marry somebody who was a ba'ula, non-virgin. And you say if he married a non-virgin, okay, she was going to be a non-virgin anyway next week, right? But over here, you can't say she's going to be a zona anyway next week, so that's not an answer. And therefore, the story is good. And either way, if you learn the halacha specifically of Shimon Yochai or not. However, we'll see is machlokas. We have a machlokas. The Rabbanan disagree with Shimon Yochai. Here's a story. So there was a story with the Kohen who married a girl who was a Gyoris, and she was Megayer when she was less than 3. Amalei Rav Nachman by Yitzchak, what's going on over here? Right? There was a story with this Kohen. Rav Nachman said, what's going on? Amalei said, Amar Yaakov says, you could marry a Kohen, could marry girls less than 3 years old in a day. So there's a story with he said, what's going on? Rav Nachman said, what's going on? He said, well, you can marry a girl a Kohen is permitted to marry such a girl. Amalei zil apik, divorce her. Elo, if you don't divorce him, I will take Rav Yaakov out of your ear, meaning I'm going to put you in chayra. You know, you can't marry a girl. I disagree. You said I disagree. Divorce her now, or else I'm going to put you in chayra. So there's a machlokas about that, whether you could marry or not. In Taka the Rambam, you see the Rambam Seichen over here is on that halacha. Rambam Yisur Bia Perikut Chespa Simon Gimel Taka says that a Kohen cannot marry a girl even less than 3 years old. Day, but it's a machlokas v'shanim what the psak is. Tanya. V'chenim Shem Yechoy also said another famous halacha that he said, can you be ma'il over the grave of a goy? The goy is matam magamasa like an animal, but he's not matam ba'ol. What's matam ba'ol? So is matam ba'ol. But really, a dead person is the main thing that's matam ba'ol. Either he's above you, or you're above him, or you're in the same room. That's matam ba'ol. Avkam or not, right? As it says, attain so and so. Attain you, not attain, but attain you. So you are my choicest flocks. So you are my flocks. Some are see you are the flock of my pasture. Adam atem. You are people. You are man. What does that mean? Atem, you're called. You Jewish people are called Adam. They ain't come from. They're not called Adam. And what does the pasuk say when it comes to Tumas Oel? How do we know? Adam ki amus ba'oel. Person dies in an Oel. You're all tummy in the Oel based on Adam. Only a Jewish person. A goy is not metamel. That's what we're saying that. If you could go to according to this, if you went to a non-Jew, it's a halacha, you wouldn't pass that way because we don't know the Maisa was Jewish and it was not, and there are others who disagree. Tosus other Rishonim, there's a whole machlokes. Can you go to let's say to a Goyish funeral? First of all, you don't really know who's a Goy or not. Maybe he is Jewish, right? Found it many times that Goyim are really Jews. But if you knew that the guy was a Goy, can you go to a funeral, to such a funeral? So according to Shimcha, you could, as long as you don't touch the body. Because even if you're in the same room, the guy's not matam ba'oel. So he says, why? Based on this pasuk. Mesa, what do you mean? Benefesh Adam, it says by minutes, Benefesh Adam Shishasar, 16,000 people, Shishasar Elef, right? And there it says Adam, even though we're talking about Goyim over there. That's because it says Mishum Behema, because it says over there Behema. It says this is 16,000 people killed and Behema. So compared to a Behema, a Goy is Adam. But the word Adam alone means Jew. What about by Yonah? It says Ashiesh Baharbe Mishtem Esrei Ribo. More than 120,000, right? Shem Adam, between right and left. This is all from Yonah. So again, Mishum Behema, because it talks about Behema, some relation to Behema, Goyim are Adam, but Adam alone means Jews. What about Kalorik Nefesh V'chol Nogea B'chalal Tischato? Anybody in that war who killed anybody, Kalorik Nefesh Kol Nogea B'chalal Tischato, you have to purify yourselves, right? Because it became tummy, presumably, by being mild over the dead bodies of Goyim. So maybe one Jew was killed. Maybe if you have to purify yourself after the war with the Midianites because maybe one Jew was killed and you became tummy through him. For Rabbanan, the Rabbanan disagree with this halacha. They say no.
There's no oath.
Very good. That's a good point. Good point. Maybe it wasn't assumed in the war as all. Rabbanan say no, you can't say that it was a Jewish person there because it says lo nifkiv menu ish. They said over there nobody's missing among the Jews. They killed all these guys. There were no Jewish dead bodies. So therefore, they only became tamei through the Goyish dead bodies. So the Rabbanan hold that a Goy is matamei b'ol. They don't hold to this drush of that Adam. Anybody Adam is like a nefesh Adam, like by Midian and by Yonah. That Adam refers to all people, all human beings, Goyim or not, Goyim or Jews.
Through Barzell, through a sword. Tommy through a sword.
That's right. That's
not through an oil.
No. So that's the question with Tommy through an oil. We'll see. Right. Rabbanan lo nifkid dimetrius. That's you're asking really what Michael's asking, but we'll see. We'll come to it in a minute. Rabbanan let commission. Part says nobody was killed. So no Jewish people were killed. So it had to be Goyim. So you see the Goyim were matamiyu. Rav Shimon will say they weren't. Nobody was missing due to an aveira, but people were killed. There were Jewish people killed. They just weren't killed due to an aveira. That's what he means over there. Ravina says a simple answer, which really what Michael and Avram are saying. Ravina Amar need them in a well. Pasuk says they're not mitamas oel. They'll say Adam kimas bol, and Adam refers to Jews. But they still tame from magomasa. In other words, when it says over there, you have to purify yourselves, indicating what? That Goyim or Tameh, true, even if you say that no Jews were killed there, only Goyim were killed, that doesn't prove that that there's tumas oel by a guy, because maybe they were from touching the dead body or touching the sword which touched the dead body. Either way, they could have been tummy that way. In any case, from over there is no proof against Rav Shapiro. Therefore, says that a guy is not matamba oel lamaisa. We don't do that. That's really another story about the goyim where they buried they made a basic forest outside Sha'ar Rachmim, so when the Mashiach comes, supposed to come through there, he won't be able to come. But goyim are not matamba oel according to Shapiro. There's a machlokes about that too, about the psak and lamaisa. We don't go. Kohanim are forbidden to go to all cemeteries, goyim or not goyim. You know, who's Jewish, who's not Jewish. Even if they are not Jewish, we don't necessarily pass Rav Shapiro. Anyway, these are two halachos of Shapiro. One, that a girl could, under 3 years old, who was Megayer, became a Jew, a convert, could marry Kohen Rav Shapiro. The Rabbanan disagree. And about this halacha, Rav Shapiro says that a guy is not matama oel, and Rabbanan disagree. Tomorrow's daf is daf Samach Aleph. Is on the podcast that already starts from the top of the page. And on Sunday, Mitzvah will start from the top of Samach Beis. So tomorrow Samach Aleph, on Sunday Samach Beis. Shabbat Shalom l'kulam. Surah Tovot.
This is by Rav
And Rumi, a refor shleima to your mother.
Yes, thank you. Seems that Murray, the whole block has it. Murray has it.
The whole block's got the COVID.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
But Baruch Hashem, it's not.
Ellie Glazer's wife. Everybody.
Yeah, it's, the whole Kew Garden Hills is infested.
All right. Call to.
You too. Take care.